what your survivor main says about you. I've decided to make this video since other creators have done the same thing. But before we get into the video, quick disclaimer, this is my opinion and how I think of that survivor when I play with them. This video is based on my hours of experience on the game. Hopefully that made sense, but let's get into the video. Please subscribe to the channel if you want to. Dwight mains are either great at looping the killer or a new player and hide-in lockers all game. Most the time good Dwight mains can loop the killer for a really long time and save their teammates first before themselves. Beginner Dwights will use Prove Thyself to get generators done as quick as possible to power the exit gate and escape the trial. I know I'm not the only player who has bad experiences with Meg mains. Most Megs will do anything in their power to hide from the killer at all times and will most likely walk around the map trying to save their sprint burst until the killer is close enough and use it. I have more chances of getting a twins 10 times in a row than getting a helpful Meg on my team. To all you Claudette mains, stop using self-care. As good as the perk sounds, it's not good. You're much better off bringing a medkit since it's faster and more time efficient. Just give up using self-care, please. It's wasting your time that you could be doing generators and helping the team to escape by the time you finish self-caring on the other side of the map. I'm already on death hook. Jake mains are what I like to call them, your average survivor. They do generators, unhook teammates, and can last pretty well in chase. If I have to be honest, it's pretty rare for me to run into a bad Jake main unless they are new to the game. Overall, Jake mains are usually the teammates that don't mind switching what they need to do. If they need to take chase, they will. If they need to do generators, they will, etc. Just like Megs, I'm not the only person who has experienced a bad Nia main. Most Nias I get on my team will refuse to do a generator and will go for the chase of the killer until they get downed in 10 to 15 seconds at most. Please just learn how to help the team by doing some generators. You being in chase is giving the killer more pressure on the team when you last 10 to 15 seconds at most in chase. If I have to be honest, do Lauri mains even exist? Like, I haven't seen a Lauri since Singularity released, but anyways, Lauri mains are probably the most scariest people to have on your team, especially at 3 in the morning. Lauri mains will usually get the killer's attention and safely help the team to complete generators pretty quickly. Lauris are pretty good when it comes to getting chased. You probably only main Ace because players that main him say that he has a built-in iron will and try to convince everyone that he is the best survivor in the game, when in reality no one really cares. But I'm not gonna lie, Ace does have some badass cosmetics in the entire game, so that's also another reason why you main Ace. Ace mains will mainly just do generators all game and try to stay far away from the killer at all times. I'm not gonna lie, I used to hate getting Bills on my team, but now they are actually really supportive teammates and will always attempt to get the team out of the trial and save others before themselves. 9 times out of 10 the killer will always pick you up first because most Bills will have Unbreakable in their perk build. Bill mains are willing to sacrifice themselves to save a teammate or in order for the rest of the team to escape. If you're a Feng main, please run Iron Will or off the record. You are so incredibly loud that the killer can hear you from the other side of the map. Feng mains will just spend the entire game following the killer to go for flashlight saves and absolutely fail miserably. Please just do some generators and only take chase if you absolutely have to. It's better for the team and you can save your flashlight for later when you need it. Trust me. David mains will most the time play supportive. Unhooking and healing teammates is an absolute must for David mains, no matter how risky it is. Just like Bill mains, they never leave a teammate behind to die in the trial, even if it's a risky save that could make them die in the process. Their main priority is to save and heal as much survivors as possible. All I have to say to Quentin mains is, Just leave me alone and stop bringing the killer to a generator that I'm working on. You have so many resources like pallets and windows on the other side of the map. Please, loop the killer over there. Tap mains are just your average gen jockey. Always doing generators as fast as possible and don't want to get in the way as their main priority is to always do generators, power the exit gates and escape. Kate mains are only good in chase because they have windows of opportunity on their build. I already know once you take it off for one game you're getting downed in 5 seconds and disconnecting from the game. Adam mains just don't take the game seriously. I have a feeling that every Adam main tries to do all achievements and trophies on Dead by Daylight. It's a big commitment, but I respect it. Getting a platinum trophy or something else on your platform must be extremely impressive, and honestly, I'm not even mad about it. Jeff mains are probably the type of teammates that go out of their way to cleanse every single totem in the trial. That's the Jeff mains I get in my Survivor games, and cleansing dull totems can be a waste of your time unless you're trying to get to iridescent ranks. I'm not gonna lie, the reason people even bought Jane was because of her perk Head-On, a funny but toxic perk according to killer mains. Her cosmetics are okay, and I find her that she is a good teammate to have. Ashe mains are just your classic Ashe vs Evil Dead fan. They always take protection hits and will always do a sabotage hooks build. They gotta get the Medal of Man stacks. I know some players think that Ashe mains are useless, but again, this is based on my experience on the game. Nancy mains are just looping the killer and staying away from teammates that are working on generators so that the killer can focus on her than on the other survivors that are working on generators in the background. If getting tunneled out of a match the most had a gold medal, it would be Steve mains. They just annoy the killer when they're just playing the game. A Steve main could just heal a teammate and would get targeted by the killer for the remainder of the game. Yui mains are always running any means necessary, always dumb touching the killer just to pick up and reset the pallet again for later. They are lifesavers. We need more any means necessary users, please. Zarina mains just cleanse and boon totems all game. Like do some generators or take chase for a while. You can come back doing what you were doing later. Zarina mains just wander off doing their own thing. Cheryl mains are just your die-hard Silent Hill fan, and honestly, I'm not mad about it. Silent Hill is one of my favorite horror games of all time. Cheryl mains are pretty much required to take chase for 90% of the game, but that's what they enjoy doing. I'm gonna be brutally honest, I forgot Felix was in the game. Felix mains love using the Resident Evil cosmetic on him, which is one of his most common cosmetics in the game. Felix mains go around the map trying to help their teammates, like working together on generators and healing, etc. Elodie mains love scaring and making the killer rage when they always have either deception or power struggle. They always go for flashlight saves and always succeeds doing so. Keep it up. Jill mains are massive fans when it comes to the Resident Evil franchise, myself included, since it's my favorite horror game of all time behind Silent Hill. Jill mains will always do their best when it comes to getting chased, doing generators, etc. Most Jill mains love using the perk Blast Mine. In my opinion, there are mainly two different types of Leon mains. You have the Resident Evil to Leon and the Resident Evil for Leon. Let's start with the RE to Leon mains. The Resident Evil to Leon mains are the Leons that have zero idea what is going on and only main him because he's extremely iconic and people love the Resident Evil franchise. These Leon mains will do anything in their power to hide from the killer even when the killer is nowhere near close. However, the Resident Evil for Leon mains are a different story. These Leon mains are appreciated by other players and being absolute legends at the game. You already know. If you're chasing an RE for Leon, he leads you into a room with 20 flashbangs scattered on the floor. And all 4 survivors are there with flashbangs in their hands dropping them. on the ground, while you as the killer are blinded left, right, and center. It's not a pleasant experience. However, this is a rare encounter, but that doesn't stop it from happening. But however, I am a Leon main, and I am gonna try my hardest not to be biased, but I can certainly understand why Leon mains get a lot of hate on both sides, both survivor and killer. Because most Leon mains are useless, and it's very uncommon to encounter a good Leon main. Most the time Leon mains don't know what they're doing, and other reasons. But I do love his flashbang perk, and honestly, this was a long one. But moving on to the next survivor, I completely forgot to add Yunjin, but all I have to say is this is your average toxic survivor. We all know you only bought Michaela for Circle of Healing, but that's too bad, because the perk was nerfed, a bit of a waste of 9,000 iridescent shards or 500 Eric cells. Please, don't boon totems all game. Jonah is probably the most underrated survivor in the game. Yeah, sure, his perks aren't the best, but most Jonah mains will switch roles at any time. From being a gen jockey to being a great looper in Chase, Jonah mains have it all. Yoichi mains are the only survivor mains who will run aura reading perks that isn't Windows of Opportunity. Yoichi mains will run perks like Kindred, Bond, Empathy, and Aftercare. Yoichi players' main priority is setting out and giving the team information. Hattie mains will always use the perk Residual Manifest, and will always use flashbangs and flashlights to give the killer a brain aneurysm and make it nearly impossible to find hooks. Ada mains will enjoy putting traps on generators using Jill's perk Blast Mine and Wiretap, and if they ever wanna add extra toxicity, they will use flashbangs when the killer is blinded by Blast Mine, and after 2 seconds they drop the flashbang, blinding them again. Rebecca mains are only useful teammates in the endgame since they will have anti-camping perks like Reassurance and Camaraderie. Now they are okay teammates, but in the endgame, that is when Rebecca mains starts to carry. Please just use Prove Thyself and not Potential Energy on generators. It's faster and saves more time, as cool as the perk is. It's not worth using. Vittorio mains will use Potential Energy on generators, especially when they're working on the generator by themselves. Thalita mains are probably becoming the most sweatiest female survivors in the game alongside Nia, Yunjin, Yui, etc. Thalita mains will always use the latest looping meta until the meta changes. Renato mains are the stealthiest survivors in the game. They will use perks like Iron Will, Quick and Quiet, Distortion, and Urban Evasion, as Renato mains will hide from the killer to sneak around a certain corner to save a teammate or complete a dangerous generator. Similar to Michaela Reed, you probably only bought Gabriel for the perk made for this, but I've got some bad news for all you made for this users. Behavior are nerfing made for this when Chucky releases, but if you do main Gabriel, you're just an average survivor doing what has to be done. I understand his famous Nicolas Cage was a cool addition to Dead by Daylight, but like Claudette self-caring in a corner for 10 years. Stop plot twisting every time you're injured. You can only use it twice a match, so use it wisely. Nicolas mains will always plot twist at the wrong time. Thanks for dropping God Palette to place Chemical Trap and picking it up with any means necessary. Ellen mains will always use Chemical Trap to help the loopers in chase by putting Chemical Trap on pallets so the survivor in chase can create more distance when the killer is slowed by the trap. Well, that's gonna do it. If any new survivors have released by the time you're watching this in the future, please don't get confused as this is recorded before Chucky's release.